Hi, all, it's a guy here, the unknown, and today I want us to look at something very important. Okay, it's something a little bit different to what we have been talking about. However, it's gonna add to what we already know. It's very, very important. So please pay close attention and stay till the end of this video. And for those with the playbook, I'm actually gonna be hosting free Zoom meetings every Mondays, okay, where we will discuss the playbook in detail, okay, and make sure everybody understands, okay. For those who don't have it, don't think you are left behind. You are not left behind. I share everything here on the channel, okay. That playbook is just to help those who are actually struggling and really want to focus on one setup. I want them to understand the A to Z of that setup, okay, on a meeting, because that's where people will be able to ask questions and we will interact together. So if you don't have it, don't think you are left behind, okay. You are not left behind. And for those who need it, the link is in the description again. So guys, without any further ado, let's jump into the content of today. Today I want us to look at different kinds of trends, okay, trends, because honestly we are not counter trending. I know some view these strategies, more especially the day three setup, as a counter trade, okay. We are not counter trending. The goal is to actually trend in line with the trend, okay. So I want to share something that will simplify everything. Now we have roughly there are three kinds of trends that we can actually talk about, but today I want us to focus on two types of trend. We will focus on the third one later when everybody already understands this, okay. So here's the thing. We have a trend which is basically a normal trend that everybody knows. So it's a normal trend. It's a normal trend that everybody knows. And then we have another trend which is we can call it something like a weak trend, or we can call it something like let me come with a name that will actually be simple to understand for all of you, okay, because most people know it as a creeping trend. So these are the two types of trends we're gonna be focusing on today. Everybody by now already knows what a normal trend is, and a normal trend is something like this. We all know what is said: trend is your friend, don't go against the trend. But we understand a trend in a different way. So this is a normal trend where prices maybe go up, we get a pullback, they go up, we get a pullback. So the difference here is that, okay, as you can see here, we have this kind of space between the high and the low. If we were to continue, we will do it like this. Then we will have something like this. This is the space we have between this high and this low. This is a normal trend. You don't want to be going against something like this. And I'm going to show you this on the charts. When it goes down, it can be something like it goes down, it pulls back, it goes down, it pulls back, it goes down, it pulls back, it goes down. The key here is you can see this is the low and this is the high of the pullback. We have this big space. It doesn't have to be very big. We have this space in between, as you can see. This is what we call a normal trend. And you will all see where this is going in a moment. Please pay close attention. This, these are the kind of trends we will be looking for based on the setups we already have. So Secondly, we have weak trends. Weak trends. Some people know this as creeping trend. These are one of the most important trends to understand. And what these trends actually do is they are like this. What you will notice is they, okay, let me just redraw it in a better way. They are like this. You'll understand when you see the charts. What this trend does is it actually makes a high and then trades back into the high. It makes another high and it trades back into the high. It makes a high and it trades back into the high. It makes a high and it trades back into the high. If it's going down, it's going to be something like this. Okay, my drawings are not perfect, but I just want you to get the main idea. It makes a low and it trades back into the low. Makes a low and it trades back into the low. Makes a low and it trades back into the low. So these are the most important trends that we're going to be focusing on today. When you see a creeping trend, something like this, okay? These trends will actually do one of two things. It's always one of two things. One of two things. If this trend goes like this and does this, you want to buy this kind of a trend. So what it did was actually it made a high and traded back into the high. It made a high and traded back into the high. As you can see, it came down again, and then all of a sudden it made a last high but did not break through. Sometimes it will just break through with a pin, but prices will close above. This is an explosive trend. Once you see this, just know that it's an explosive kind of trend. Sometimes it's gonna do the very same thing like this, makes a high, comes and back into it, makes a high, comes back into it, makes a high, comes back into it, makes a high, and then it makes a lower low, it makes a lower low, and then it does this. Once you see something like this, you definitely want to sell this. And already, as we have spoken, we trade evidence. Let me just put it here, okay? We trade evidence. This is important. This is important. This is important. We are not trying to catch the high or the low. We trade evidence. Hence, we wait for the pump and the dump, which is actually accompanied by what? By the engulfing candle. Always, that if it's a buy, we wait for a dump and then we wait for evidence. Evidence will always be accompanied by an engulf. So this is a dump, and here they will engulf this region. We already spoke about the psychology behind the engulf. Immediately, people who are selling are in a loss and they are praying for prices to come back so that they can exit at break even. Know that even it's if even if it is just a 6 pip engulf, remember, there are people who use bigger lot sizes, and immediately when you execute, you are at a negative. Why? Because the broker has to get its commission. Hence, we have a bid and an asking price. So at that to a 6 pip engulfing candle, or to a 18 pip engulfing candle that shoots off at once, that simply means that the person who is wrong is at a huge drawdown, depending on the lot size they're using. And if it's a very big lot size, there are people who over leverage, there are people who are so confident that they're not gonna lose, and they actually open big lot sizes. So if you add the spread, which is actually the commission or the profit for the broker, and you add that engulfing candle, the pips of the engulfing candle, immediately the person who executed is at a very huge drawdown, and they will not close. You know how stubborn traders are. They don't want to close until they are forced to close because of the pain. So these are actually creeping trends. So creeping trends will always do one of two things. It's either, once it creeps like this, it's gonna make the last low just above the high that was made. Okay, I don't want to say the last high because this is the last high, but it's gonna make a low just above the previous high. Okay, and then if you see this is an explosive move. And I will show you why I'm actually showing you these things. It's gonna work mostly on day 2 continuations and day 3s, where they continue in the direction of the trend. I will show you what I mean. Just remember that we trade evidence. We want to see the dump and the engulf if we're gonna buy. We want to see the pump and the engulf if we're gonna be selling. So please remember this. Remember this. It's highly important. And do practice this as much as you can, because this will make a huge difference. Sometimes we're gonna have a move that was so strong. Say for instance, we have a move that was so strong, and then we start getting the creepy trend. A creepy trend is a trend. Here I didn't draw it well, but I believe you get the main concept. We have a move that was explosive. Then we start getting a creeping trend like this. And then, as I said, we get something like this. Okay? This is an explosive move to the downside. You don't want to counter trend this. Once you get a big move, then you get a creepy trend. They make a high, they trade back into it. They make a high, they trade back into it. They make a high. This time they make a high, and then they make a low. Once they make a low, the main idea is they trade back into the low. Okay, let's just say now the next high is below the recent low. I'm not talking about this one, I'm talking about this one. Once you see something like this accompanied by an engulfing candle, this is an explosive move down. This move is just going to continue. They were just gathering orders. I know I might not have drawn it in a perfect manner, but the concept remains the same. And my goal here is to simplify this thing. Okay, so once you see this, you don't want to counter trend this. Most people find it hard to actually trade in line with something like this. People counter trend this a lot. Now let's go to the charts. We'll talk about the third kind of trend later. Right now I want everybody to understand the creeping trend or the weak trend. They are always gonna do one of two things. Once they do something like this, it's an explosive move and it's gonna be quick. It must be in your session time. The setup must be there. And we are using the very same setups we are using day 2 continuation or day 3. So you must understand this. Let's just go to gold. This video is gonna be a little bit shorter because this is a little bit complicated, and I know it's gonna take people some time to understand this kind of concept. Okay. Let's look at this is gold. This is gold. It was roughly okay. This is gold. I want to show you something. You see here, we talk about prices. If they are going down, we talk about prices having to pull back, having to pump for a dump. This is what we talk about. But there are days like Friday. If you look at gold on Friday, we're still going there. There are days where they are not gonna dump prices, they are just gonna continue and just explode. So if you understand the creeping trends that we just discussed, you are not supposed to struggle getting these kind of trends, provided the setup is there. Provided the setup is there. So if we come down to a 15-minute time frame, you see this is the closing price of the previous day. By the way, this is MT5. I know there are many of you who are using MT5, but you don't know or have the indicators. I'm gonna try to show you all these indicators and way to get them, and you can just install them. So I'm gonna show you towards the end of this video. If you are using MT5, it's okay, don't worry. If you are using MT4, I have all the links to the indicators in my description, so you can just go and download them and install them. But it's a little bit harder for those who are using MT4. We will talk about that when we finish this video, so just stay tuned. This is the low. As you can see, I have my levels, MT5, I have my highs, I have my lows, I have the closing prices, and I have my sessions on, and I also have my weekly separator. So I have all the indicators that I have on MT4 here on MT5. So don't worry, if you have MT5, we'll talk about that. Right now, please pay close attention to this because it's important. Now this is the low. As you can see, we have this dotted lines over here. Let me change the color and make it something darker, because I think darker is good for the low. So if you actually look at what transpired the following day, you realize that we got a creeping trend. This trend goes, okay, let's just okay, it's not gonna do that, but okay, fine. Let's start here. We can start anyway. If we start here, you realize that okay, they made a low. Okay, let's talk about something a little bit bigger. Let's take this here, but it's fine. Let's take this here. They made a low, and they traded back into it. Let's see where they broke into the low. So the creeping trend doesn't matter. It could be on a 1 hour, on a daily time frame, on a 15-minute time frame, on a 5-minute time frame, or on a 1-minute time frame. I know it's gonna be a little bit harder for you to understand at first, but I will continue this again until you understand. So they make another low. They make another low. Mind you, prices are going down, but they didn't dump. We spoke about them having to dump so that we can actually get this, right? So we didn't get this. I wanted everybody to focus on this because it becomes easy and allows everybody to get the most easiest trade. But there are days I've realized that people are missing trades, even when they are good trades. So they made a low. They traded back to it. Actually started here. They made a low and they traded back into it. As you can see, this is the low, and they broke it right here. They traded back into it. Then they came, made a low, and they traded back into it. They made a low this time, and prices did what? Prices came back, but this time around they only bounced where? They only bounced at the previous low. They didn't go back into it. So let's go back to our example. Actually, what did we say? We said they can make this is the one where they go up, this is what the one where they go down. Let me do something like this, because this is for uptrend. Let me do something like this where they make a low, they make a low, they trade back into it, they make a low, they trade back into it, they make a low, and then what do they do this time around? They explode. They this one, let me just correct here, guys. The drawing part is very hard, so please understand. They make a low, they make another low, and they trade back into the low. That's what I want you to understand. They make a low, they trade back into the low. They make a low, this time they don't break into it, they explode. So they made this low and they traded back into the low. They made a low and they did what? They traded back into the low. They made a low, and this time they did not trade into it, they just came and bounced over it. So this is gathering orders, and people blow accounts here. I'm gonna show you how. This is what we just saw on our charts. This is what we just saw on our charts. I'll try to make it easy, but if this is the first time, it's gonna be a little bit too complicated. So please, 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 you can watch this thing again until you understand. My drawing is horrible, I understand. But the main concept is that they make a low and they trade back into the low. As you can see, they made a low, they traded, they broke back into the low. They broke back into the low, then they made this low. Okay, they made this low, but this time they didn't trade back into it. Some people will say, but they did. No, this is an inside candle. Let's take the bodies. Usually I want the bodies. As you can see, it's not really trading back into it. They just came and touched it, gave an engulf. You wait for your session time. You wait for the equity time to open. Once you see this thing, let's look at where the equity opening is. I want to keep things consistent. Reason being, I don't want to show this today and show that tomorrow. So I want to keep things consistent. Consistency is very, very important. As you can see, the equity opened here. They pulled back. This time around. They didn't break into the low. This is a 15-minute chart. They didn't break into the low. They gave a pin and an engulf. What did we say? We trade proof. Okay, we trade proof. I just want you to understand this, but the setup has to be there. I just want to explain this. You see, you can put your stops right back inside here, provided they don't exceed your acceptable level of stops. You see this move, this is what you take. As you can see, it went up to 76 pip, but mostly we take roughly 50 pip, and it was a clean 50 pips quick within 15 minutes. So this is what I want everybody to understand, because sometimes they are not gonna do what? They are not gonna dump for it. They're not gonna pump for a dump, or else let's go to the to the charts of Friday. You see, Friday they gave a first green day. This is where prices did what? This is where prices opened, and this is where prices closed. As you can see, even if you bring in a line, you'll realize that, oh, what did they do? They gave a first green day. They went down, trapped everybody, then they came here. Yes, it was interesting that they did this late. And I actually saw this and I posted that now. Tomorrow is going to be a good day because they push prices late for a reason. Remember, when it comes to the market, everything is perfect. Everything about the market is perfect. There is no coincidence. If they are not giving a trade, remember, there is no coincidence. There is a reason. And one thing these people do is they use time against everybody. They know everybody is in a hurry to make a quick buck every day. They know that you spend a lot of time before your screen sitting, and you get exhausted. So they're going to use that against you. They might make some moves today, tomorrow, preparing for the third day. So everything is well planned. Everything is well planned and well executed. Remember, these guys are well organized. These guys are highly resourced, and these guys are actually well educated. And one thing you will know is that uh, some of these guys are athletes, and you know how organized athletes are. They are actually built up to actually stand out and be the best in whatever they do. That's how athletes are. So you must understand that everything that happens on the market is so perfect. Whether they're gonna move prices late at 10 o'clock, it's no coincidence. They know what they are doing, and they have actually planned that very well. So here, I don't want to make this video long, but I want to make it short and understandable. Here they gave a green day. Okay, green day. I know most people get annoyed with my okays. I'm trying to actually use them less, to a point whereby I will actually get rid of them. But right now, you have to understand, this is how I talk, and I have been used to this for a long time. So it's not just gonna disappear over one video. So that's something you have to understand. So thank you for understanding that. So this is our green day. After so many days of going down, let me just bring this here. You see gold. Gold has been going down. And here, yes, I'm glad most people explained the story pretty well. They understood what was happening here, and that's the most important thing. You must be able to read the charts and actually be able to write a whole page uh, about this, because I can write more than 2 or 3 pages about what was actually happening here. That's what helps you understand how they trap volume. So I'm not gonna talk about that because we have been talking about that in the community, and actually I want the community to be so engaging so that everybody will be able to communicate on it. So feel free. If you are wrong, we learn. We are always wrong at some point. So this is something we are looking at. You see, this is a first green day. What do we expect after first green day? We expect a dump for a pump, for a pump to maybe the high or even higher. We can sometimes use the Fibonacci extension tool, but in this case, as you can see, they didn't dump. And the reason I've always been saying we will talk about trends is because I know that some days they are not gonna dump, they are just gonna pump. So this is why today we are talking about trends. Now let's look at the kind of trend that was actually transpiring. We can actually look at it on a 5 minute or on a 15 minute, whatever, it's okay. So they made a high just before Asia. Just before Asia. They made a high before Asia. They traded into it. They made a high in London. Okay, they made a high in. Let's just go to a smaller time frame because I prefer the 5 minute. It's much cleaner and easier to understand if you have something like this. So let's start. Let's start afresh. As you can see, this is a creeping trend. Let's go. They made it. Okay, let's not talk about before Asia. It's still fine. Let's talk about after Asia. They made a high. I'm not gonna take this week, so I'm just gonna take something like this. And here is where they broke the high. And as you can see, they traded back into the high. That's good. And then they made another high. Usually I don't love taking the weeks, but it's okay. They made another high over here, and they traded back into the high. This tells you one thing. This is a creeping trend. And yes, we called it a weak trend, but it can be a sign of an explosive trend. There are two types of trends happening right here. Maybe I might be forced to explain the third type of trend for you, but okay, let's just continue. As you can see, they made another high and they traded back into it. Fine. They made a high. we can take this one. Okay, they made let's say they made a high and they traded back into it. They made a high over. Okay, when the wick is big, I don't like it. They made a high and traded back into it. There were news up to a point whereby they did what? They came and they didn't really trade back into the trend. And when there are news, they can present an opportunity and you just go to a 1 minute time frame. As you can see, they came back, gave a huge engulf, and they just exploded from here. This was an easy 60 pip. This was an easy 60 pip because I don't encourage entering before the news. And as you can see, this candle is a news candle. So once you wait, they came and made this and they didn't really trade back into the into this previous high. When there's a very big pin, I prefer not counting the pin. So as you can see, they did the same thing. And even here, they did the same thing. I took a very beautiful trade here. I took a very beautiful trade down. Let me show you how I did it. I came to a 1 minute time frame. I told you uh when you come to a 1 minute time frame, more especially when we have an explosive day, you will get the best fill. As you can see, I saw them doing this. I saw them doing this, and then what did they do? They took out the high. They took out the high. I want to show you something very interesting. Very interesting. I will actually be forced to explain the third kind of trend because it also happened here, but we'll talk about that in a minute. As you can see, right here, I told you sometimes I go 30 minutes beyond, but this day I did go beyond the 30 minutes. And let me show you. I told you I don't prefer pins. When I see a big pin, I'll take the body. This is the low. I waited for them because we trade evidence. This is the low. They trade back into it. They make a low. They make a low. They trade back into it. Do you know how many people are actually counter trending these engulfing candles right here? Because they don't understand the creeping trend. Creeping trend can do one of two things. You see, they make a low, they trade back into it. I didn't take the week because if I put a line chart over here, you will realize that okay, it's fine. Let me not actually put a line chart because I didn't actually okay, let me show you. You see, prices didn't really break down. Okay, so that's why sometimes I don't take the weeks, and most of the times I don't take the weeks. The same applies to when I'm doing my expansion. I don't take the weeks. And then what did they do? They made another low over here, and then they just exploded. Let's see. You see, this is a creeping trend. They traded back into it, and then one candle then engulf. There's just some kind of variations that sometimes you'll have to understand, but this didn't really go deeper into the trend as this one did. The first candle closed and then the second candle. Here it was just one candle that closed and they were back the next candle. It's just that sometimes there is variations that we have to understand. Okay, once you understand the variation, everything becomes simple. But again, even if you didn't take it here, this is a point whereby now the trend is normal. They pull back, but they don't go back into it. But for me, I took it somewhere here because of this candle. This candle, only one candle closed, and then we were back. So I took it here. Obviously, my stops are very tight. Do you know that people actually see these pins and want to counter trend? The next time they see the engulf, they want to counter trend, and then again they see this one. This is not really an engulf. It's just something, as you can see, it's not an engulf. It's something like a rarer track. These candles are of the same size. Then this little candle over here, which is a small candle going down, something like an inside candle, and then we get a very big engulf. That's why I took it here. Once you spend your time on the charts, you will understand these things. Okay, so I took it here, put my stops here, and I took how many pips? Was it 80? I don't remember. I took 8, I think it was 80 something. Yes, I took 80 pips, 80 pips, 80 pips. Yes, I took 80 pips. I took 80 pips on this trade. Yes, I took 80. As you can see, I took 80 pips. That's when they started going to consolidation, and then again you see that was another trend. But I don't encourage trading this time. But if you really wanted, you could have traded. But the most important thing right now to understand is that we have creeping trends. We had a move that was explosive, then we got this creeping trend over here, and then we get this nice creeping trend. You see here, this was interesting for me because it's only one candle, which is an inside candle, and then an engulf. These are the small things you'll understand as you go on. But the most important thing is understanding this creeping trend, where they are actually, you see, this shows you that an explosive move might be coming. So you just have to understand what is happening. The same applies if we go to a 15-minute time frame. You'll understand that we got a creeping trend, but you see, this is what they were building. They were trapping everybody selling, as they were going up, and immediately it explodes, just as I've shown in the very same first example. But here, if you look at it carefully, we got another type of a trend here, which is now a very explosive kind of a trend. A very explosive kind of a trend. Let me just touch on it, but I'm not gonna explain it. I'll explain it in the next video so that I can show you the indicators I actually use. All right. The third kind of a trend is an explosive. This is an explosive trend whereby, say for instance, they will go up, bounce, give a creeping trend, okay? And then all of a sudden they will change and give another kind of a creeping trend. You see, maybe something like this. So what this thing does, it's actually that it gives you two types of trend lines that you can draw on it. We don't use trend lines, but you can identify this with trend lines, where you just put a line on the lows, and then all of a sudden they shift to a higher level, so they never come back, and they don't come and retest this line over here. Now they start trading like this. This now is an explosive. Once they close just above here, or they can touch this slightly, or they can close just above. The low now is above the recent high. This is where you want to enter. This is an explosive trend. I will make sure to do another one whereby we go into detail and we actually look at many examples. But as you see, this is the first trend, and they give a second trend. This is an explosive trend. This is an explosive trend. For those who want to exit it, you can exit right before the news. But this is an explosive trend. I told you I can go 30 minutes after, and then you see they just went bullish. Okay, so this is roughly, let me take this one out, but they give you a creeping trend, and then they shift zones. They give you another creeping trend. If you go to a smaller time frame, you will see this last one closes above, you enter into it. That's a very explosive trend. So I'm gonna try to actually explain this kind of trends in detail, because I know it's something a little bit complex and it's gonna take time to grasp, but this helps a lot. More especially, it helps you not to counter trend and to trend in line with the underlying trend that is developing. Okay, it's very useful. That's why I showed you it happened here on a 1 minute time frame. So it doesn't matter what kind of time frame you're gonna be using, you will see a creeping trend when it's happening, and you must understand this. But for now, it is okay. As you can see, you see this is where they pulled back, but on a smaller time frame, you will, maybe on a 1 minute time frame, you will see that they came and just touched here, and then they exploded. Okay, so basically we use this when we are actually trading in line with our setup. The setup has to be there. This is not a replacement of the setup, because the setup itself cannot and should not be replaced. We use the same setups, but this is just a different kind of trend that will help you. I know it's a little bit complicated. I will try to explain this more and more and more until people get to understand this, because this will keep you out of trouble, and this will help you get trades where they didn't actually dump. So it's three kinds of trends. When you have a normal trend, it's just going up, like it's just actually going up. Okay, like this one is a normal trend, this one is a normal trend on a bigger time frame, but they did give a creeping trend here for this continuation. So it helps you understand the underlying trend and to trade in line with it. So guys, let's just look at the indicators. I will just click on indicators right here, and then let me show you the indicators. Okay, here are the indicators. You can just pause over here and copy the names, then go to market, markets. I'll show you. Copy the names quite quick, because you need the very same indicators. These are the indicators that will help you, and once you got them, I will show you how to set them up. But most of those indicators will have videos where they'll show you how to set them up. But this is what it is. And okay, I believe by now you are done. So if we go to view, no, wait a minute. Okay, you just go to view, and then toolbox, and then you can go to marketplaces. Let's go to view. Okay, now we are actually on view. As you can see, now we just go to market. You click here on markets. It's gonna take you to the market, where you will actually be able to search for the indicators that I've showed you, the ones you've copied the names. You just have to log into or create an account with its MLQ, LQML, something like that. Okay, and then that's where you'll be able to download right in your MT5 platform. So that's how you're gonna get the indicators. Everything is so straightforward, nothing is complicated, I believe. And yes, that's how you're gonna get all these things. So thank you a lot, and I hope believe this video is complicated, and it's gonna take quite some time for you to understand it. But just a recap: to get an explosive trend, you need, like, okay, it will give you something like a creeping trend, and then you just draw. Okay, I don't even know, my drawing skills are bad, but nonetheless, they'll give you something like this, and then now they go to a higher level, and they're still giving a creeping trend, where you just draw another line on the lows, and then you wait for when they come and just trade back from here. But you might understand, sometimes they will just tap inside, maybe pin, maybe whatsoever, and you want proof, which will be the engulfing candle. This is what you take, and you ride with the existing trend. The same applies on a downtrend. On a downtrend, it's gonna be the same thing: creeping trend, creeping trend. You draw your lines, something like this. Okay, they might come and touch, and then now they start giving a creeping trend on another level, where if you get your line like this, you just wait for them to go and then make the low. It could be just above there, it could touch a little bit, but now it's not really trading back into it. You wait for proof, which is our engulfing candle, and this one is gonna explode. This is an explosive trend, an explosive. And then just to recap the creeping trend is a trend that actually makes a high, trades back into it, makes another high, trades back into it, makes another high, trade back into it, and then it goes. Sometimes it's not gonna be this many times, it's just gonna be maybe 2 or 3, and then it explode. But again, criteria remains the same. You wait for proof. So the same applies to if it's going down. But one thing you should know is that creeping trends will do one of two things. They can creep like this. They can creep, then change things. Now make a low, and then you see this one is gonna explode to the downside. So you must just understand creeping trends. These are weak trends. But this is just trapping people, because when something like this happen, most people blow their accounts trying to sell, whereas the trend is just gonna explode to the upside. And the same applies to here. They are trapping volume, then they are gone. Once they give the engulf, you are in. So it all boils back to patience. Do you have patience? Are you patient? If you are patient, honestly, nothing will ever be difficult. It's all about being patient and understanding what you are looking for. And obviously, recap a normal trend. A normal trend, it's something that goes like this. So you don't want to be going against the trend like this. A creeping trend is what will help you. If you go to a smaller time frame, you will see this. Bigger time frame, you will see this. So I hope you understand that the main idea to understand is that they make a high, they break, they come back into the high. Make a high, they break it, they come back into the high. And then they can do something like this, head and shoulder. But the main idea is to understand that now they've changed direction and they are only coming to bounce here. They don't go inside again because they've trapped everybody going up. Or else it's the same thing again. They make a high, break it to the high, and then they trade back into it. Make a high, break it, then trade back into it. Make a high, break it, then come back into it. Make a high, and this time they might just tap on it, but it's not really gonna be a break, and they will accompany it with this, an engulfing candle. This is where you want to get in. You can keep your stops tight, or you can keep your stops above one of the just below one of the lows, and that's it. If it's going down, same idea, same idea, nothing new, nothing difficult. Okay, and then boom. So for you, it's just to understand and pay close attention to what is happening, because these creeping trends are everywhere. If you look at the whole weekly template, there is a day that might give you just a creeping trend, so that the next day they just explode. This is something you should actually be looking at. But the idea is the same. They make a low, break it, and they trade back into it. Make a low, break it, trade back into it. Make a low, break it. This time they could just tap on it, or they will never come back inside. You just know that they are gonna explode. Okay, so this is the main ideology. I'm sorry guys, I know this is a little bit too complicated, but I will try to make it simple. But yeah, it will become simple as we go. It's just that I know that already some people take time to maybe understand the first part, which is the setup, and then that's why for now we were using where they give a green day, and then we anticipate them to dump for a pump. This is the easiest way. But sometimes they will just give a green day, and then they will just creep. Before you know it, they are like this and they are gone. So I want you to understand, even when they dump here, sometimes they might give you a creeping trend before they explode back to the top. So this is something worth understanding. It's hard, I know, but with time it will make a sense, and I'll try to go through it again and again until it becomes way too simple, because this will give you some good trades. Okay, this will really give you some good trades, just as I showed you that I actually took a beautiful gold trade on Friday, which was actually going down here on a 1 minute time frame. So don't worry about the time frames. It's all about doing what you understand and doing what works for you. Creeping trend, creeping trend, creeping trend. You see, they just touch with one candle, then engulf, then they are gone. They are gone. So put your stops here, because a creeping trend most of the time is not gonna go past this low already, past this high. Already they've trapped volume. So if your high it's even here, you got a very nice trade. So I got one of the easiest trades right here, one of the easiest. Yes, again, even the news presented a very easy trade if you understand creeping trends, because you see they touched and then they went boom. But it's okay, it's all about understanding what is happening. Okay, so I believe with time everything will make sense, everything will become simple. So yeah, if you are new, subscribe for more. If you are part of the family, share, like, and and comment for the algorithm. The more people get this, the more simple trading will become. And I'm sorry today I introduced something that is a little bit too complex for everybody, but I just want everybody to know what's really happening in this business and how to get the easiest trade. So this is just another big piece of the puzzle that makes the setup days easy to take, easy to understand, know where to get in, how to get in, and all sort of stuff. Because this was a continuation already, it has gone 400 pips from the previous day. Obviously they are gonna correct, so this is why I was able to get this one to get 80 pips on this, and it was the most easiest. So I want to show you things that will actually help and transform your trading journey, even though sometimes it will simply mean introducing things that are a little bit too complex. But guys, let's keep it simple. You will understand these things. I will explain it more and more as we go, but you will understand them. You will understand them. I wish you all the best, and thank you all. Have a beautiful week.